All right, good evening. Today marks day 9 of FOP. We're going to continue off where we left off with object-oriented programming. And today's going to be main focus of Lemonadestand.Py. We gave it as homework over the weekend. But today our main focus is going to be working on it in groups. And then after returning from our groups, we're going to talk about it and program together. So we'll break off, give you guys the chance, for those of you that didn't have the time to work on it over the weekend, to attempt to work on it with a buddy. And then I'll jump through the breakout rooms. We can provide any kind of one-on-one help if needed. And after some time, we'll come back. We'll code along a little bit and explain how to do it. All right. Today it's going to be just honestly all Lemonadestand.Py. So because it's such a big assignment, right? So it does take a while, especially if you're struggling with classes and objects. This is like the time to make sure you get good at it. I believe this is our last assignment involving object-oriented programming. After this, we're going to move into other stuff, CSV files, data structures, algorithms. So make the best out of this assignment. Ask all the questions you have. All right. Before I begin and split you guys up into groups, do you guys have any questions for me over the weekend? Do you guys wanted to, like, for those of you that were able to work on it, is there anything that you got stuck on that you want to talk about? Maybe share your code. We can talk about it as a group and address it prior to breaking up into groups.
Hey Roger, I think I probably missed it, or as I was trying to take notes or something. I couldn't get my the test to run on my desktop, like on the VS Code, but I was able to run it on Replit. And it's probably the way I have the file set up or something, but I don't know if you want to look it over.
Yeah, let's check it out.
So whenever I would run it, I think it was this.
You should be able to run your test file individually, like normal, right? So you should be able to call Python Lemonadestand_test.py.
What was that again? Sorry.
So you should be able to call. So just like you call every other Python file when you try to run it, you should be able to call your Lemonadestand.Py file as well.
Okay. And I run the test file, right? Just like I normally
Yes.
do.
Okay. You're probably gonna have to you add a main function.
Oh, my bad. It's because I had before I had commented everything out, and I was checking to see if it was working, like the import worked, and I was checking the directory or the dir. But
Yeah.
I didn't save the file. So I saved it right now. I ran it, and this is what I usually get when I try to run it.
No module named Lemonade Stand. So
I had
from
that same problem, but I figured it out. It's just the name for your files different. So like in your from.
Yeah, right here.
Yeah, on line 4, it just doesn't match. Yeah, that was it.
Okay, so I
took
did
forever on that.
I remember trying the lowercase as well, and it didn't work. I don't know why. And I'm assuming that in what's it called, Replit, it worked because I had to change the name from Lemonade Stand to main because that's what it was using. But let me see. Maybe I didn't save it last time I tried it.
You ran the wrong one again. It should be Python Lemonade test. There we go.
Oh, okay. There we go. Maybe that was it. Maybe I didn't save it when I did try the lowercase on this one here last time.
That's okay. No biggie. Yeah, man, just listen to the terminal. You know, it will usually tell you what's wrong with it. If it's saying, if you scroll up, it gave you an issue of like no module name this, that's syntax error. You probably mistyped something. It doesn't understand what you're trying to call it.
Okay.
So that's what that was telling you. You didn't have to run the Python M unit test one. You should be able to just run it by itself. Scroll down. I'm assuming you did add the main, right? Scroll all the way down.
The
Yeah,
test,
right.
yeah.
So you should be able to just run it like normally. It runs as an individual script. Therefore, that's the only way you need to call it, right? And then you failed one test. Let's check that out before we go. What'd you fail?
Okay, so I struggled with this one for a little bit. I think I messed up the code a little bit. And I have probably extra stuff or duplicate stuff just to try to make it work. But um, pretty much, I think no matter what, this is what the test I kept failing, which was that when it was checking the total profit, I guess 30. This one here, line 30. So I guess it's looking for 20.30 or something. And the weird thing is that it's saying that my code was outputting 90.22999. But when I run it here with the same parameters, like I get 20.3, or like, the math was adding up. So I'm not sure. Maybe it's when they add multiple stands or something. I'm not too sure why it was not matching their output here.
Huh. Okay. We'll check it out in a bit then. That's interesting. Who got up to the point that Jose got it? So I'm assuming Jose, Kara, that's two of y'all that finished it. Who else got this far in? I'd like to break you guys into groups, one that did it and one that didn't. Like I said, it's okay if you guys didn't. I understand people get busy, but I would like for y'all to be working. That way, you guys can also help each other out. No one else? Adrian, did you do it? Just another unit test. Okay. Yeah, so we'll break into groups. I'll assign Kara, Jose, and Adrian. You guys will have someone else that hasn't done it. I'm going to take this silence as the fact that you guys didn't do it, and that's okay, right? I understand we have lives and stuff, so those that did get to go through the assignment, help each other out. Let them code along, and then you can help steer, right? So as they drive, you help them steer by watching what they code, and give advice if they have like syntax errors or they forget something. That's like your part, right? And doing that will also make you a better coder, right? You're able to catch stuff that you normally wouldn't catch, and if you can teach it, you know it, right? That's how I like to think about it. So we'll break up into groups, and then we'll reconvene afterwards, and we'll code along. All right, welcome back. I didn't get to everybody in the rooms. I do apologize. I wanted to take a break, close out the breakout rooms, and start coding up a little bit for the recording for everybody else, and also just to ensure that we're all on the same page so far. Um, there seems to be some confusion with some of this stuff. I just want to make sure that I clear up any questions that people might have. Um, before we continue on deeper into the assignment. So we're gonna do a code along, and you guys can code with me, or you can honestly just watch and try to take in the information, whichever one helps. After this, we'll take a break and go back into our breakout rooms. I just want to start us off a little bit. I wanted to give you guys that opportunity to code a little bit with my help, and then we can come back here and re-engage it as a group. And we're gonna go ahead and start that up. So let me give me a second. Gotta situate myself. Okay. All right. Let me share my screen. Can everybody see my VS Code? All right.
Yeah.
Awesome. So, all right, let's check it out. We are working with Lemonadestand.Py. We're going to start from the very top, right? We are currently located in the Lemonadestand.Py file, but we're not going to start right off the bat here. One thing that I want to show you guys is the fact of that we can split up the workload of our classes, kind of format our code in a manner that it's easier for us to visualize it. So the first item on our README is going to be the menu item. So I'm going to build an entire different file for every single class that I have. That's going to allow me to break up my load into smaller chunks. So we're going to create a menu item.py in the same location that my lemonade stand test and lemonade stand.py are located in, right? And here we're going to go ahead and code out our menu item. So class menu item, right? Everything up to this point is going to be the same as we've discussed in our previous classes. We're going to define our init method, which is going to initialize our class when we call it. It's going to take in self. And if we look here, it's going to take 3 parameters in our init method. One's going to be the name, the wholesale cost, and the selling price. So we'll do name, wholesale price, and the what was the other one? Selling price. All right, everything's still the same. So we'll do self dot underscore. We'll privatize our data member. I don't think it's specified here, but I'm just going to do it because I like to make sure that people don't have access to it. And they will assign the parameters that is being passed into it as its values. All right, still everything is the same. Nothing has changed. Pretty simple. There's its data members, awesome. And then it says get methods for each of the data members for get name, get wholesale cost, and get selling price. Cool. All standard stuff, getter methods. So define, get name, take self, return, self dot underscore name. Define, get wholesale price, take self, return self dot underscore wholesale price. And same thing with my selling price. Get selling price, self, return self price. Okay, cool. All right. So up to this point, we taking care of the menu item. Everything's still standard. We can work on something else. And this is gonna be it for our menu item. The next thing is gonna be sales for day. So go back to my file, add a new, or we'll go back to my folder and add a new file. We'll call this bad boy sales for day.py. Oops, came over here. We'll move it here. And I just keep these open so I can go back and forth through them if I need to. I'm going to create my class called sales for day. And just like the menu item, everything is going to be still standard. Need myself in my init method to instantiate it. This one's going to take 2 data members. One is going to be an integer for the number of days the stand has been open, and a dictionary whose keys are the names of the items sold, and whose values are the numbers of those items sold that day. So this is going to be day, what can we call this? We'll call this number of days open. Is it a long variable name? Yes. Do I care? Not really. You can make fun of me. But the point is, it makes sense to me. All right. So for now, this is my naming convention. I want to make sure I understand what I'm reading when I'm looking at my classes, or you can add some comments here to remind you of what these parameters are. The next parameter it's going to take is going to be a dictionary, right? And this dictionary is going to hold the keys. The keys are going to be the names of the items sold, and the values are the number of those items sold that day. All right, so we'll call self dict, right? And then before I even go on, I'm going to ahead and make a comment here, right, to remind myself, because it's very confusing sometimes when you have multiple dictionaries. But this is going to remind me what it takes. The keys is going to equal, what was that again? Names of items sold. And then value is going to be, let's see, number of those items. You see it's kind of extended to the right. Easy fix of that is go to top left. You can press view and you can add this nice little feature called word wrap, and it will wrap up your code in a manner where it's readable, it's all on the same page, and it still works, right? Especially if you're the type of people that you have only one screen and you want to open up tabs, that helps a lot, right? But that's that documentation right there, that pseudocode is gonna allow me to remember what the hell I'm looking at when I'm building my classes, right? Especially when you're trying to instantiate something and you have multiple classes to work with. It's hard to know, like, what does this dictionary even hold? What's the key supposed to be? What are the values? That way it makes it easier for you to be able to access them as needed, right? So we have that. We're going to go ahead and assign it to our data members. Number of days open is equal to number of days open. And then the same thing for sales dict. Cool. So it has the init method, and now I need getters for both of these bad boys. So define get day, take self, and return self dot underscore number of days open. Define get sales dict, return self dot underscore sales dict. All right. Up to this point, still pretty standard. We have basic data members, nothing crazy, and getters for both of our data members. All right, cool. Everyone with me up to this point? We can move forward, right? So now that we got our other classes, we're gonna move to our lemonade stand object, right? This is gonna represent the overall store itself, our lemonade stand, right? I'm going to want to use the other classes as well. So what can I do? I want to import them, right? So I'm going to do from menu item import menu item, right? So I'm saying, hey, from my menu item file, import menu item, right? Because that's how the class name is spelled. If we go back to it, see, it made it easy for me. I already knew what I was trying to ask for it. I don't have to do anything crazy here, like, forward slash to try to go into any folder, or like inside my documents, forward slash, whatever, nothing, because it's all in the same area. They're all in the same folder. So I just have to type in the name of the file. So from menu item, import the name of the class I'm trying to bring in. Or I can just do the asterisk. It'll import everything in that file. Either or, both will work. It's common practice to just grab what you need, right? So you don't import useless stuff in case it's more than just one item. Then we're going to do from sales for day, right? The name of the file, import sales for day. All right, so I'm importing these classes, so I'm able to use them, but they're not cluttering up my Lemonadestand.Py and confusing me as I'm creating my Lemonadestand object and working with other stuff. All right. One thing that I want you guys to know and to emphasize is whenever we use the self dot method, it is in regards into what it is inside of, right? The self dot methods is only within the scope of that class you're working with. Okay, keep that in mind. So that's how do we know when we have to use a self dot method? It's whenever you are like whatever class you are within, that's what it's referencing. That's what self means, right? It's in the word self, myself, right? So self will always reference to the class that it is within, right? So self dot methods here will reference to self for day. This one reference the reference menu item, and anything here will be reference to eliminate stand. I mentioned that because some of you guys had all 3 classes in the same file. There's nothing wrong with that, but you get confused. Like you're trying to call self and you don't know what self you're referencing to. You're trying to use self dot whatever for a different class that you're not within, right? And that can be very problematic, right? Your code will be telling you, hey, this doesn't exist, right? But you know it exists, it's right above it, but you're not realizing what self is calling towards it, right? And maybe splitting up your code within different files might help you. And this is how you bring them in here so you can have access to them, right? So hopefully this gives you a different way of viewing it. I think the hardest part is trying to imagine what you're working with and what your code looks like, right? So now I have access to those other 2 classes in my lemonade stand. So I'm going to create my lemonade stand. Do you have to do it this way? No, you do not, right? You can do it how you guys been doing it. This just helps me be able to visualize what I'm currently working on and still be able to access all my other classes. So I'm going to create my lemonade stand. I'm going to define my init method. It's going to take self. And this should only take 1 parameter if I'm correct. It's going to take let's see. Oh, it has 4 data members. It's going to take a string for the name of the stand, an integer representing the current day, a dictionary, a menu item of objects where the keys are the names of items and values are the corresponding menu objects, okay? And a list of cells for the objects. All right, so we'll break it down slowly. But if we look here, it's only going to take 1 parameter. So the other 3 data members are going to be initiated on their own inside our name method. So for our parameters, it's only going to take name. All right, we could just say name of stand to keep us from getting confused. All right, so we'll do self dot underscore name of stand is equal to name of stand. Cool. So that is going to be assigned to the parameter that's being passed on line 6. And then all the other data members can just be taken in like normal. So we'll do an integer representing the current day. So we'll do self dot underscore current day is equal to 0, right? We'll just start at 0. Or actually, we'll do 1 for it to be the first day. It don't matter. We'll do 0. Whatever. We'll see once we start working with it to see if it matters. Oh, it does. My bad. So it says current date to 0. All right, awesome. So we'll start it at 0. The next one is going to be a dictionary, a menu that initializes an empty dictionary. So we can do self dot underscore menu is equal to, how do we initiate a dictionary? Open and close curly brackets. So that's an empty dictionary. There's nothing on our menu yet. And then the last item will be a list of cells for day objects. List of, or we can actually say cells record. Cells record is equal to open and close curly brackets. It's a list, right? So a list of objects. And now before you continue on, I'm going to make some notes here to remind me what in the world I'm working with. So this menu item or object is going to have keys that are names of items, and value is going to be menu item objects. And notice that I capitalized the menu items to remind me that it's an object, right? Because that's how my class is. When we instantiate an object, we have to call the class name, right? So that's going to remind me of what is going to go in that menu item, because it's very easy to forget once you're working with all these different classes. The sales record is going to take list of cells for day objects. All right, cool. That should help me. Awesome. All right, so that initializes our eliminate stand. Let's look at what other method it's going to take. The first one is going to be a getter method that's going to allow us to receive the name of our eliminate stand. So get what's it called? Get name. So we just call it get name, pass itself, and return self dot underscore name of Stan. Boom. And the next one, this is how far we'll get right now before we release each other for a break and back to our breakout rooms. We're gonna do the actually we'll do up to sales per day. We'll do add menu item. So we have to define another method. Reminder, a method is essentially a function, right? So some of these words are interchangeable. So I know I'd be saying method, but in reality, if you think about it, a method is just a function, right? It's just called a method because it's referencing to a class. So that's why we say method, but it's honestly, bottom line, it's honestly just a function, right? It's a function that the class has. Therefore, we call it a method, right? So we're gonna add a method slash function in here called add menu item. All right, and like every other method we use in a class, it has to take self. So we'll give it self. And then it's gonna take as a parameter a menu item object and adds it to the menu dictionary. So it's going to take an entire object and add it to our menu dictionary. So what's our menu dictionary? It's up here, right? Let's look at line 9. What are the key and value pairs for a menu dictionary? It says the key is going to take the name of the item and the value is going to be an entire object itself, right? So it's going to be a whole object being assigned here. So for parameter, we can name it something like menu item object, right? That's going to remind us what it is. So we know exactly what it takes in here, right? Proper naming convention. And it adds it to the menu item. New items can be added to the menu on any day. Okay. All right, so we are going to do self dot underscore menu, right? Because we know we want to access our current menu for our lemonade stand. So we'll do self dot underscore menu. We're going to open and close brackets. Why? Because it's a dictionary, right? We can use bracket notation for a dictionary, and it needs a key and it needs a value. So what does a key take? It takes the name of the item. Okay, so the item we're trying to add is an object here. How do we grab the name of this item? Well, let's look at our menu item object, right? If we go up here to our menu item, we can open it up. If we want to grab the name of something, we want to grab this. We have a getter method for that. So we can use get name to grab the name of this menu item object. So within here, we can call with that menu item object, and we know it has a method called get name, open and close parentheses. And whenever this is called within here, it should return to us, right, according to our method, its name. So it'll get us the name and assign it as a key, and then we're going to assign it a value, right? So the key is being assigned there as its name, but what is the value? It's the object itself, the menu item object. So all we have to do is say menu item object, right? So here it's grabbing its name, and here we are assigning it as its value, right? And now that should update our menu with a new object. Cool. All right, I think that's pretty plain simple. It says new items can be added to the menu on any day. So we don't have to do any kind of if else. We don't have to check the current day or anything. We can just go ahead straight add it on here. I say that because sometimes you're gonna have to check what day we're on, right? You might have to do like, what if we can only add it on Saturdays, right? Or like every 7th day. So you want to check the day, right? So you would do like self dot underscore current day, and then you find a way to check it whether it's every 7th day or not. And if it is, we would move forward with adding it into our menu. And if not, then we can't add new items because we only add items on the 7th day. I say that because that's gonna be something you're going to encounter later on, where you're gonna have to check certain parameters to see like hey, can I do this or not before you move forward? And you can do that. So it says we can add it on any day. So we move forward. Awesome. Next going to be our enter cells for today. So define enter cells for today. Now, before I move forward, do we have any questions up to this point of how I did any of this or any confusion? Okay, so enter cells for today. So it's going to take as a parameter a dictionary where the keys are names of items sold and the corresponding values are how many of the item were sold. We're going to see the example at the end of the readme. All right, so if an item in the menu doesn't appear in the dictionary, then there were no sales of that item on that day. And that's all it says. So what does that mean? It means that we don't have to do anything. If it's not in there, then just move forward. Nothing has to be done. If the name of any item sold doesn't match the name of any menu item in the dictionary of menu item, okay, that's a little confusing. What does that say? What? If the name of any item sold, so if whatever we pass in the parameter, if any of those items doesn't match the name of any item in our menu, then we should raise an invalid sales item error. And since we need to define this exception class, cool, we'll do that in a second. Otherwise, if we get none of those, it should be able to create a new entire object from sales for the day using the current day as a parameter and the dictionary that was passed in and add that object to the list of sales for day objects and increment the current day by 1. So this is our sales record, right? This is a list of sales for day objects. I know that because I added this column here. So that reminded me. Cool. So let's go ahead and code this baby out. On line 18, we gave it self. And now it's going to take a dictionary. So sales for, or we can just say sales items so dict, right? And let me go ahead and make a note here where I'm giving the keys so I know what keys they are. Names of items sold, and value is going to be how many items sold. But I do this for myself and for you guys too, so you guys can see. But don't take advantage of the fact that you can write little notes here and remind yourself of what you need. Right? It's very easy to get lost with all these different arguments that methods are supposed to take, and you get very confused. So make these notes. It'll help you in the long run. Right? So I know that it takes a dictionary. Cool. All right. So now I'm gonna want to check. Now that I got that dictionary, I want to check if that item is in my menu. So we can say for item sold dict. It's gonna take an entire argument. It's a dictionary. Name of items and menu items. So this is essentially the same thing, right? Because we know this is the format that it's supposed to take. We're gonna pass it a dictionary that's gonna be built in that same manner, and we want to check if it's in our menu. So we can do for items sold in items sold dict dot items opening close parentheses. All right. So what did I do here? If you guys remember, how do we loop through items in a dictionary, right? So dictionaries have key value pairs. We can loop through all the keys, all the values, or both of those at the same time. And if you guys remember with the syntax of Python, if we want the keys, we would do dot keys opening close parentheses. If we wanted values, we would do dot values opening close parentheses. But we want both keys and values, so it's going to require the items built-in method opening close parentheses. JavaScript has something very similar to this, but instead of items, it holds entries. All right, so we're gonna do items, right? And that's why it's taking two parameters here. It's gonna take items and items sold. If I wanted just the keys, I would do dot keys, and I would have to get rid of one of these items, right? Because dot keys only takes one parameter. It's only going to pack one item. It can't take the values. But I want to check both, right? I just want to check both, make sure I have access to both of them as I loop through him. That's just my personal preference. All right. A question was asked to me today, like, how do we know, like, what should we do? What methods should we use? It doesn't matter, right? A lot of things with code is personal preference. Are there more efficient ways of doing some stuff? Yes, right. There's some ways that are faster, that save runtime, or save space, but that's not something you need to worry about right now. Honestly, at this point, it doesn't really matter. You guys just can choose different ways of going about things. As you progress, you're going to realize that some ways are easier than others, more effective, and then that's just something that comes from practice. And you guys will get better at being able to choose what method to use. But it doesn't really matter what you use; it's all personal preference. Um, you can always start off one way and then make improvements later. So does it matter if we just loop to the keys or the items? Does not matter. But I'm gonna do items. That's what I want to do. So I'm looping through the items. I'm able to access both the items themselves, the keys, the values, items sold, and now I'm gonna check, right? So if items not in self._menu, right? I'm going to check if the current item that I'm looping through, if it is not inside my menu, then I want to raise an exception, right? But I don't have the exception yet. So let's go ahead and define that real quick. We can go to the very top. I'll give some space. I'm gonna do class, invalid sales item error. I'm gonna define that class, right? And what did we say about the exception classes, right? When we want to define our own class, we need to essentially make a subclass of the overall exception class. So the Python already has a built-in class called exception, but we want to make a custom version of that. We're gonna make a child version of it, but we want some item that comes with it. That's why within these parentheses, we're gonna pass in exception. Essentially, it's telling Python, hey, grab your class exception and build a new child class and call it invalid sales item error. Right, that's gonna be our current custom exception class that we are creating. And then we'll put pass here because we want to define it on the go as we need it. And that will keep us from getting an error by not defining it right away. So when it gets to it, it just goes over it. It doesn't pay too much attention to it. And then on line 24, we're going to use it. So we said if the item is not inside of our self._menu, our current dictionary of menu items, then I want to raise invalid sales item error, that new error class I just defined. I'm gonna do a format string, and I'm gonna say the item. I'll do some curly brackets for some string interpolation. I'm gonna say items, so I can say what item I'm currently working on. The item so and so is not in our menu, right? So if the item is not in there, then it's gonna raise this exception. So it's gonna go through all the cells. It's gonna check if it's in there or not. If it doesn't even exist in our menu, it should let it know, hey, we don't even sell this. You try to order a burger. We sold a burger, but we're Olive Garden. We can't do that. And that's what it's checking here, right? If for whatever reason everything checks out, we only sold items that we have in our menu, right? Then we're gonna go ahead and move forward with our sales record. So let's check it here. So we already took care of the invalid sales item error issue. Cool. Now what happens if the name of an item sold doesn't match the name No, we took care of that there. If it doesn't even appear in the dictionary, then there were no sales of the item on that day. So if it doesn't even appear here, then there's no issue. We don't have to do anything. But everything so far has been taken care of. It looks like everything checks out. So I'm going to go ahead and move forward with my code where I'm going to create a new sales for day object using the current day and the dictionary that was passed in. So after I loop through and I double check that there's no issue, I'm going to do new sales for day object. I'm going to create a new variable and I'm going to assign it an instance of the sales for day class. So I'll call the sales for day. I have access to this because I imported it up here on line 2. So I'm able to create that class, right? So I'm able to call the class name, open and close parentheses. Now, what does this take? Let's check it out. It's going to take a number of days open and the sales date. Now, where do I grab those items? So I want to grab the current day that I'm trying to add on my sales record. Well, I can access that by the data member here on line 11, self._current day. And then the second parameter that it's going to take is going to be a sales date, a dictionary, right? And that it tells you here. It's going to use the current day and the dictionary that was passed in, right? We passed in a dictionary above here in our parameters, items sold date. So we're going to pass the entire dictionary in here. So items sold date, and that's going to create that new sales for the object. And now that that object is created, we can add that to our sales record. So I'm still in the cell on the Lemonade stand, so I'm able to call it sales record. So sales record. We see that it is a list. And how do we add items to a list? Using the .append method. We open that bad boy up, and we see that it's a list of sales for day objects. So we are able to pass the entire object in here. We'll say new sales for day object. It adds it to our list. And then last thing but not least, we want to increase the current day by 1. So we want to grab that current day. I'm going to do plus equals 1. And that's going to take care of our enter sales for today method. Up to this point, are there any questions on what has been covered? Any confusion whatsoever? Awesome. I hope that clears any question that you might have had throughout the break. It's currently 7:08. Let's come back at 7:18 and we'll go back into our breakout rooms to take care of the rest. Resume. We're going to attempt to finish this today. Unfortunately, a lot of the breakout rooms took a little bit longer than expected, and sadly, I didn't get through all of y'all. So hopefully, we can answer some questions here. I'm going to share my screen. Oh, stop sharing. Open my VS Code. There we go. Share screen. All right, cool. All right. So let's look at it. We did enter sales for today. Next item is going to be sales of menu item for day. We're going to define our method. It's going to be sales of menu item for day. The parameter is going to take an integer representing a particular day and the name of the menu item. So need to give it self. We'll say day and name of menu item. So take those two as a parameter. Can everyone see my screen right? Good. Okay. And this method will use the given day to find the corresponding cells for day object in the list, and then call it get cells dict method to get a dictionary of cells for that day. It can get very confusing, especially with all these dictionaries and objects. I'm not gonna lie, my brain hurts. But we're going to attempt to do this. So we know we have an array of objects that are cells for day, right? We want to go through all these objects, find a specific day, and then grab the cells of an item of that day. So let's start visualizing it a little bit. So we'll loop through our list. So for cell of cell._cells record for cell, my bad. And for cells in self._cells record, we're gonna want to go through our method, find that specific day. They should start printing out cell objects, right? And we want to go into the objects and grab stuff. So let's look at our cells for day objects. They take number of days open. So it's gonna be the day that it was open, and then a dictionary is gonna have names of items sold and the number of items sold on that day. Right, and we have two methods here, get day and get sales dict. We don't need a day, we already have the day, but we want to grab the entries for that specific day. Right. So for cells and self._cells record, we loop through the array and we start grabbing our objects. If day is equal to, if the day we're adding as an argument is equal to our cells.getDay, it has a method called getDay that's going to return the day that item was opened. If the day we're looking for is equal to the date of that specific log entry, we want to do something. All right, that means we've reached the specific day we're looking for. And now we can manipulate the items for that day. We can do cells log is equal to cells dot get cells dictionary, right? Essentially what we did, to break it down, make sure I haven't lost anybody, we're taking a specific day we're looking for and the name of an item that we want to find out how many times it's sold on that specific day. So we're going to loop through the list of logs that we have of cell records, and we're going to compare the day we're looking for with the day in these logs. If those days match, then we want to grab the logs for that day, right? And that's exactly what we did here in line 31. We checked, does our day match with this log entry? Yes, it does. Awesome. Then this is the log I'm looking for, and I'm going to grab the list of items that were sold on this specific day, and I'm assigning it to a variable called sales log. And now we can start manipulating this data. So this method will use a given day to find the corresponding cells for the object in the list, and then call it get cells dict, which we just used, to get a dictionary of cells for that day. It will then look for the item name in the dictionary, taking into account that if an item in the menu doesn't appear in the dictionary, then there were no cells of that item on that day. So we're gonna have to keep track of the total cells of this item. Do we need a total sales menu? We probably should. We don't think we do. We could do something like this, where sales for day is equal to sales log. And then we're gonna grab that item. We shouldn't have to. What are the chances of it having multiple logs? It should just increase the amount of times something was sold in a day. There shouldn't be duplicate. We could add an edge case to check for duplicates in this dictionary, We'll keep it simple. We won't see if there's duplicates. We'll just do sales for day is going to equal the sales log dot get, and I'm gonna grab the item I'm looking for, right? So you might be asking, like, Roger, why don't we just use bracket notation and call the name of menu item in here, right? Well, what's cool about using the .get method is when working with dictionaries, the .get method gives us the flexibility of returning a specific result if we don't find what we're looking for, right? So what we're gonna do is we're gonna do sales underscore log.get, and we're gonna put the key of the item we're looking for. And in the event that we do not find what we're looking for, we can give it an optional parameter. It's gonna be comma space, and we're gonna give it 0. So what this tells Python, hey, I want you to go into the dictionary, grab the key that's assigned to name of menu item, and then assign it to my sales for day. And in the event that you don't find what we're looking for, I want you to return 0. Right? And this should return the sales for this day. We should be able to just do something like return sales for day. All right. Any questions so far? I think some of you guys did something like total sales equal to 0. We could do that. For sales in sales record, but I don't think we need to because we're checking the day. We're just looking for one day specific log record. So we should be fine. So we shouldn't need to do that. You can if you want, but it's not like we're looking for the total sales of multiple days and we're trying to get in a cumulative total for all days. This is just for a specific day, so this should work just fine. Anyone with me, or lose, like, do I lose anyone so far? Anyone have any questions, or are you all with me? Yeah, straightforward. Jasmine, you look a little confused. I can't hear you. You gotta speak louder.
No, it's fine. Just look at the different names, try to follow up.
Yeah, I understand how it can get a little confusing, and I do apologize for that. Okay, let's go to the next one. We got total sales for menu item, so we'll define it. Define total sales for menu item. It's gonna take self, takes as a parameter the name of the menu item. Okay, so we can do name of menu item. Okay. And returns the total number of that item sold over the history of the stand. So it's just gonna take one parameter, it looks like. Colon. This method can make use of sales of menu item for day. All right, so we're able to use the method above us, which is awesome. So it's utilizing the dry method, the don't repeat yourself method, which is cool. We've already added the functionality. We just got to take advantage of it. So we can do total sales is equal to 0. We'll declare a variable that we're going to keep track of all the items that we have. We're taking the name of a menu item and returns the total number of the items sold over the history of the stand. Well, we know that over the history, we have all that in our sales record, so we can essentially just loop through our sales record and grab all the sales. So we can do something very similar to line 29 and 30, where we grab for sales in self dot underscore sales record. We should be able to just loop through the entire list and grab every single record for every single day. And then when we grab that sales record, we can use our new method. It's going to take a day and a name of menu item for this one. So if we want to, sales for day is going to equal, I'm not doing this in order, and I do apologize for that. It's kind of how my mind works. we're gonna want to use the cells, the method we declare above us, and because we're in the eliminate stand class, we should be able to do self to call upon ourselves, and we're gonna call the self the menu item for day method that we declared earlier because it's within the class we're working with. This is gonna take the day that we're working with, which we haven't gotten yet, and we should be able to give it the name of the menu item. So we'll do a space here real quick just to make sure where we're gonna put it. I'll give it name of menu item, but we have to give it a day. So how do we get the day? Well, we're already looping through the sales record. We can grab this day of that sales. We know that the sales record holds objects of sales for day. So up here, this is the object. Let's grab the day that belongs to that specific record by doing the get day method. So we can do sales, or we can do day is equal to sales dot get day. Right? Because now as we loop to the sales record, we're grabbing onto different objects that have a method called get day. Doing this will return the day that belongs to the specific instance. It's going to assign it to our day variable. And then we can pass this as a parameter inside of our cells of menu item for day method that we did, which should return the cells for day for this specific day. And now we can add this on to our total cells plus equal cells for day. And it'll do this throughout the entire record. And if I'm correct, we should just be able to return total cells at the end of this. Anyone have any comments? Did everyone see how I did that? Did I miss something? Anyone do something differently? Or anything they want to point out? No? Okay. Well, we will continue moving on. If you guys see anything or whatever, I haven't tested this, by the way. I'm coding this along with y'all real time, so this is straight out of my dome. So for those of you guys who have asked me, how do we engage a problem, or what should we be thinking when we do this? What method should we be using? This is how I code along. So this is a prime example. Carrie, you unmute yourself. You guys want to say?
Yeah, just for in the sales of menu item per day, in one of the tests is like if a day doesn't exist, then return no information found for that day. So like, how would you put that into
As an
that?
error, you said?
If you go into the test file, it's like if there's no day that exists, it's like forget what
Which test is it,
line
please?
80
Line 80.
test. Yeah.
So it wants us to return no information found for that day.
If a day doesn't exist, like in that example, they only have day 0, not day 1.
Test sales of menu item for that day. Let's check it out. Sales one. Okay. So how would we test this out? So we check for sales in sales record dot. We did that, and we checked if day is equal to get day. Then we go through all this. In that case, we can put this in here because we're only looking for one day, correct? We're just looking for one day. So if day is equal to cell.get, if it equals to the day we're looking for, then we can go through all this logic, and then we can just return cells for days when we're done. Else, we can return what that test is asking for, no information found for that day. Does that make sense? So we're only looking for one day. We don't have to do any crazy logic. As soon as we find that day, we'll do what we want to do. We get the sales dictionary, assign it to our sales log. We grab the item we need, right, and then return that sales for day, right? Essentially, we can do this. Return. Read that. So if day is equal to the day that we're looking for, right? Then grab the dictionary. After you grab it, I want you to return what you receive back from using the .get method. So it's gonna either return 10, that I sold 10, or it's gonna return 0, one or the other. Once it reaches the return statement, it's done. It's not gonna move forward, right? In the event that it doesn't even reach the if statement because no day match the day I'm looking for, then it's gonna keep looping through my entire sales record, and it won't even ever go into line 31. After it goes to the line, the sales record, all through every single entry, it'll go to line 34 and return. And that's how you do that. Any other question, guys? Sweet. All right, so that takes care of that. We only got 20 more minutes left. All right. Total sales for menu item. All right. I'm sorry, it's my son knocking. Let's go with. Okay, so we did total sales for menu item. We're gonna do define total profit for menu item. I'm taking self. Takes as the parameter the name of a menu item. So name of menu item. And returns the total profit of that item over the history of the stand. This method can make use of the sales of menu item for day. Am I correct? Or am I reading the wrong line? So it takes as parameter the name of a menu item and returns the total profit of the item over the history of the stand. The profit for any item sold is the selling price of the item minus the whole sell cost of the item. This method can make use of total sales for menu item. Okay, so it was this one. Okay. So let's say total total income is equal to 0. I'm kind of just gonna kind of code along, see how I come up with. We want to use the total sales for menu item. We know we can give it the. My bad. We know we can give it a name, and it should be able to loop through our entire sales record just with a name and bring back the total sales overall. So we can say actually total sales is equal to self dot total sales for menu item, right? And we're able to give it the name of the menu item, and it should return the overall total sales of what our item sold throughout the time of our stand being open. So now we know how many times it's been sold. But what is the overall profit per unit? Well, let's look at the menu item, right? So the menu item class, it holds 3 data members: the name, the wholesale price, and the selling price. So usually wholesale price will be like, for example, we're trying to sell a bottle of two, and we buy it for $2. We can sell this bad boy for $3 and make a profit of $1. So we will want to give it a variable called profit. It's going to equals to the selling price minus the wholesale price. Now, how do we get the selling price and the wholesale price? Well, we want to get the menu item. And where is the menu item located at? Well, we have a menu, and the menu holds key value pairs of name of items and menu item objects. So we can grab essentially we can self dot underscore menu will give us access to the menu, which is a dictionary. So we should be able to use the dot get method. And the get method should be able to take in the name, because that's going to be the key is going to be the name. So name of items. So we can pass in the name of menu items as an argument, and this should return to us an object, right? Because menu item objects, we should be able to do, after we get the object, call wholesale price and selling price. How do we get that? Well, we have methods already defined for them. So we can do get name of item. Okay, that should give us the object. Then we can get the get selling price. Am I correct? Get selling price minus the self dot menu dot get. Actually, to not have all this extra code, we can just do menu object is equal to self dot underscore menu dot get, and we can give it the name of menu item. That will assign the entire object in here, which will make this look prettier. All right, we can do menu object get setting price minus the menu object dot get wholesale price, right? And that will give me the profit per unit, and then we can return profit multiply by the amount of times we sold this bad boy, which is going to be total sales, right? Everyone's still with me on how I did this? Any questions? Did anyone do it similar to this or different that they would like to pitch in? Are you all still with me, or did I lose any of y'all? This is like the time to ask these questions. David, you good? Okay. Saul? Okay. All right, we got 14 more minutes left with class. So we got total profit for menu item. Next will be total profit for stand. So we're going to define, it's going to be total profit for stand. It's going to take no parameters. It's going to return the total profit on all items sold over the history of the stand. This method can make use of total profit for a menu item. So we'll assign it, we'll create a variable called total profit, and we will initialize it with 0. And then we want to get the total profit for menu item, right? We're going to use that to be able to figure out how much have we sold and how much have we made from each single item that we sell in our store. So we can loop through all the items in our menu, right? And we can say for menu item in self dot underscore menu dot keys, and it doesn't like that. Whoa, self dot underscore menu dot keys. Why do you not like that? Dictionary for menu and self dot underscore menu dot keys. Does anyone see? I don't see. It's a dictionary that holds Names and values. Self is not defined. Oh, rookie mistake. I knew I wasn't wrong. All right. Harry, you're laughing, but you said nothing. Okay. Awesome. So we got the keys, and we're gonna loop through them, right? And this should return to us the name of every single item we have, and that's all we really need to pass into our total profit for menu item. So we can do total profit plus equals the result of whatever we get from our total profit for menu item method. So we can do, we want to call that method, and that method's built into the class that we currently work in. So we have to do self total profit for menu item. And then it's going to take an argument, which is going to be the name. So we'll pass it menu item. For menu item in sub.keys, does this give us a key? Oh, I want to say we do. Give me a second. Let me confirm that. I don't use dot keys often. Anyone use this method that wants to confirm that this is going to give us a key and not the value?
I did it that way and it worked.
Yeah, okay. I just want to confirm being able to do the dot keys menu or method. I think so. Then file for key. Very. You want to make sure because then it drives me crazy. Yeah, okay. It does work. Awesome. So yeah, being able to use the dot keys should allow me to loop through all the keys, and it does. We just confirmed that. And that's the key is gonna be the name, right? We can pass that name into the method, and it should give us the profit and add it to the total profit. And then we just return total profit. Yeah. And that should essentially finish off our entire Lemonade Stand class, right? Pretty straightforward. I don't want to say it was easy. I know, starting off, this is probably one of the hardest assignments you've done at this point. Who wants to pitch in, ask any questions? This is the time to ask. We'll run this in a bit to make sure this runs. But the time is now. If you guys have any questions, please ask. This is your moment. I know a lot of people did struggle with this assignment. No one. Okay. Let's try this out. Let's run this. You see these examples. Stand by. We'll check this out. Make sure this works. What is this? That's weird. What the? I don't understand why that was that like that. You guys have that issue on your README too? Okay. Gotta fix that for next class. Okay, so that makes the stand as a menu item, or instantiates a menu item, adds the menu item, creates another one, adds it. Okay, cool. And then were you guys able to print this and see it work? Or you guys have to do something different? I'm only asking because I'm trying to save time. We only got like 6 minutes left. Does anyone want to give me their examples real quick so I can put in here instead of trying to type out and make variables and instances?
I mean, if you just run the last line in the README, that'll print out part of it.
Check it out. Yeah, what you call it? Guillermo was the one that built
Oh,
the.
sorry. You also need the day, the lines above that as well, so you get an actual day of sales.
Yeah, Guillermo was the one that built the curriculum. Thank you, Guillermo. But with time, we'll make updates of these. So that creates a day of sales, enters it, and then prints. You said they should test it out. Did it work for y'all? CD lesson, was it 9? I don't. And print nothing out. Okay. Well, I'll fix this. I don't have enough time to go through all this stuff for tonight. We'll probably do this the first like 15 minutes of class tomorrow. We'll run the test cases and we might even build some extra test cases. Overall, did today answer any questions that you guys had? Did it help today? Understanding object-oriented programming and building classes and whatnot. If you guys were able to do this, then you should not have any issues with the first 2 weeks of the full stack immersive program. This is probably the hardest part of the program itself, because the learning curve when you start off is pretty high, but once you get started, you snowball. You just like a snowball rolling down a hill. It just catches momentum, and you keep going. The hard part is trying to get up this hill. This is the hardest part. So if you were able to handle this program uh, with ease, then you should feel relatively at ease with the start of the full stack immersive program. If by any chance you struggled or you feel like you just don't understand the concept just as well as you would like to, I want to reiterate what I say in the chat. I do message on Slack. Granted, you don't have to take advantage of it. I understand everyone has a family. We all have lives and whatnot, both inside and out of work. But I am available. Okay, so do not hesitate. I emphasize it again. Like, do not hesitate to message me. I can make some time, and we can sit down and we can talk through some of the issues that you might be having. Like, this is what I'm here for, and I don't mind working out of the clock. So I'm there for you guys. For those of you that struggle with this more, please reach out and I'll help you to the best of my ability, and I'll try to explain it in a different manner if the first time doesn't work or if I'm not explaining it effectively. Please let me know. We will take the next 15 minutes after tomorrow when we start to finish this off, go over the test case, and then we'll move on to the next lesson. So yeah, that's all I got for you guys tonight. You all have a good evening.